Hi, welcome to the quiz. You will be presented with multiple choice questions, each displayed on screen for a short time. Please make sure to attempt answering all the questions. Quizzes help us to reinforce our knowledge, identify areas where we need to focus more, and improve our overall performance. Taking quizzes can also help to increase retention and make the learning process more engaging and enjoyable. With that out of the way, you can answer along on quizalto.com. The exact URL of this quiz will be in the notes down below. Let's get started. Good luck. What is the benefit of using AWS Resource Access Manager when sharing resources? To increase the speed of resource access for all parties involved. To maintain control over who has access to the shared resources. To grant unlimited access to all resources within a network. To automatically allocate additional resources when needed. What is a potential downside of not regularly reviewing and updating resource shares created via AWS Resource Access Manager? Decreased network bandwidth for shared resource communication. Failure to terminate unused resources leading to resource contention. Increased storage costs due to inactive shared resources. Risk of unauthorized access to outdated resources. What is a benefit of sharing AWS Key Management Service keys using AWS Resource Access Manager? Ensuring consistent encryption across accounts. Reducing CPU overhead for EC2 instances. Optimizing memory usage for Lambda functions. Automating RDS database backups. Why is it important to regularly review and manage resource shares created via AWS Resource Access Manager? To maintain compliance with changing access policies and requirements. To increase resource access speeds for all shared resources. To centralize all shared resources for improved visibility. To automatically provision additional resources based on usage patterns. What is the primary purpose of AWS Resource Access Manager? Automate resource deployment in multi-account environments. Enforce strict resource isolation between accounts. Simplify resource sharing across AWS accounts. Improve resource performance through caching. What is one of the key considerations to keep in mind when sharing AWS IAM policies through AWS Resource Access Manager? Ensuring that policies are compatible and do not conflict with existing permissions. Automatically granting full administrative access to all shared resources. Encrypting IAM policies to prevent unauthorized access and tampering. Limiting the number of permissions that can be shared across accounts. What is a potential risk of not properly configuring IAM roles and permissions when using AWS Resource Access Manager? Increased network congestion and latency for shared resources. Incompatibility with resource sharing protocols for cross-account collaboration. Resource duplication leading to storage inefficiency. Unintended exposure of critical resources to unauthorized users. What role does AWS Identity and Access Management play in resource sharing via AWS Resource Access Manager? Enforcing access control policies for shared resources. Monitoring resource usage metrics for cross-account sharing activities. Automating data encryption protocols for shared resource traffic. Optimizing network routing algorithms for low-latency communication. How does AWS Resource Access Manager help in managing resource sprawl within an organization? By limiting the number of resources that can be shared across accounts. By enforcing strict resource naming conventions across all accounts. By automatically deleting unused resources after a certain period. By centralizing resource sharing and access control policies. What is a use case for sharing AWS Systems Manager parameter store parameters using AWS RAM? Enforcing access control policies for Amazon S3 buckets. Configuring custom IAM roles for ECS services. Deploying custom security groups for Amazon EC2 instances. Managing configuration settings for Lambda functions. What is the benefit of sharing AWS Transit Gateway attachments using AWS Resource Access Manager? Reduce storage costs for EBS volumes. Automatically distribute incoming traffic to multiple EC2 instances. Simplify network connectivity between VPCs in different accounts. Improve latency for DynamoDB requests. What is a possible use case for sharing Amazon RDS snapshots using AWS RAM? Restoring database backups across multiple accounts. Automating ECS cluster deployments in different regions. Configuring custom IAM policies for S3 buckets. Scaling RAID capacity for Amazon DynamoDB tables. What is the primary purpose of granting resource access using AWS Resource Access Manager? To provide full administrative control to all shared resources within an account. To streamline resource provisioning and deployment processes within an organization. To enable secure access and collaboration on shared resources across accounts. To automate resource deletion after a specified period of inactivity. What is the primary advantage of using AWS Resource Access Manager for sharing AWS Key Management Service keys across accounts? Automating key rotation and expiry policies for shared keys. Enabling secure data encryption and decryption across multiple accounts. Accelerating data transfer speeds for encrypted data stored in S3 buckets. Improving backup and recovery processes for key management service protected data. What is the potential risk of not properly managing resource shares in AWS Resource Access Manager? Unintended exposure of sensitive data to unauthorized users. Increased network latency and communication issues. Resource contention leading to performance bottlenecks. Incompatibility with AWS Lambda functions due to misconfiguration. What is a benefit of using AWS RAM over manual resource sharing methods? Enhanced data encryption. Centralized resource management. Increased network throughput. Automated resource provisioning. What is the key benefit of using AWS Resource Access Manager when collaborating with external partners or vendors? Securely share AWS resources without the need for cross-account IAM roles. Minimize network traffic overhead and reduce data transfer costs. Maintain a separate billing account for shared resources and usage. Automatically grant full administrative access to partners for resource management. What is a key feature of AWS Resource Access Manager that simplifies resource sharing across accounts? Dynamic resource scaling for changing workload demands. Automated resource allocation based on usage patterns. Centralized resource permissions and access control management. Enhanced network isolation for shared resources. What are the permission levels that can be assigned when sharing resources through AWS Resource Access Manager? Partial control, unlimited, superuser. View only, edit, admin. Read only, write, full control. Read, write, execute. What is a use case for sharing AWS Transit Gateway multicast groups using AWS RAM? Automated failover for Route 53 health checks. Managing SSL/TLS certificates in AWS Certificate Manager. Scalability of Amazon RDS RED replicas. Enabling multicast traffic between VPCs in separate accounts. What is a benefit of using AWS Resource Access Manager? Share AWS resources across AWS accounts. Automatically provision new resources. Move resources between AWS regions. Increase security by restricting access to resources. What is a possible use case for sharing AWS Snowball jobs using AWS RAM? Transferring large amounts of data to different accounts. Creating IAM roles for EC2 instances. Deploying apps on Lambda functions. Implementing custom encryption keys for EBS volumes. What is the benefit of using AWS Resource Access Manager to share Amazon S3 buckets across accounts? Enabling collaboration on shared data storage resources. Automating data lifecycle management policies for S3 objects. Improving query performance on large S3 datasets. Encrypting data at rest within the S3 buckets. What is the benefit of using AWS Resource Access Manager for sharing encrypted Amazon EBS snapshots across accounts? Improving data compression techniques for encrypted snapshot backups. Automating encryption key rotation for shared EBS volumes. Enabling secure collaboration on shared encrypted data volumes. Accelerating data recovery speeds for encrypted EBS snapshots. What is a limitation of sharing AWS Systems Manager parameter store parameters using AWS RAM? Shared parameters have shorter expiration times. Limits on the number of parameters that can be shared. Recipient accounts cannot modify the shared parameters. Shared parameters are not encrypted at rest. And that's a wrap. Thanks to everyone who participated. Remember, you can answer along on quizalto.com, where you can keep track of your progress and find much more quizzes. We hope you had a fun and challenging time. Until next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more. Hit the bell icon to be notified as soon as we upload. Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts or suggestions, and if you think this video is worth sharing with someone who could benefit from it, please forward a link to them. See you next time. Thanks for watching.